Hi everyone, welcome to another video. Today is I think my second video of the 3-book wrap-up video in which I'm obviously talking about the 3 books that I've read recently. As I've explained before, I don't like doing monthly wrap-ups anymore because it just sometimes feels a little bit too overwhelming, and I feel like I have to hurry up so that the videos are not too long. So I feel like this format will hopefully work better for me, but it is only the second time that I'm doing this, so let's talk about the books that I read recently. As you will have seen from the thumbnail, the first one is Good Girl Bad Blood, then we've got Dying Fool, and we also have the Unadoptables. So I'm gonna talk about them in the order that I read them. So the first one that I read was Good Girl Bad Blood by Holly Jackson, which is the third book it's the second book in a trilogy. The first one was called Good Girl's Guide to Murder, that's the one, and this is the second book in the series. I already bought the third book in the trilogy, so one day I will read that one as well, but this one was also really good. I really enjoyed the first one, so the second one was definitely not a disappointment. So in the first book, as you probably already know because these books are really popular, but they are like YA mystery, murder mystery type thing. So in the first one we follow our main character Pip, who is a high school student, and she's got this little project for finishing high school, I think, or just in general, to just a project for school, that she's decided to investigate a murder case that happened quite a few years ago in her town. There was a girl who was killed by her boyfriend, but Pip didn't believe that, so she started her own investigation. And the first book was really great. The first book also had like a mixed media format, so there'll be different interviews, there'll be different snippets of different, I don't know, kind of sometimes newspaper articles or something like that, and it carried on into the second book. I don't want to talk about the second book much, but it's basically similar thing to what happened in the first one. Follows the same main character. There's a missing person and she sort of takes on investigating why this is happening, what's exactly happening, and all that. So yeah, I would say the second book also finished on a little bit of a twist, which I think will have some consequences in book 3. So I'm quite curious to see where that's going to go and how the author is going to sort of resolve that, and how she's going to delve into it more, I guess. So that'll be quite interesting. I can't obviously say because it'll be a massive spoiler, but yes. So again, this book has a lot of different formatting as well. They're like file names, and sometimes there are some pictures in there as well. And yeah, again, different interviews and different like blog posts and pictures of different things and stuff like that, which I always love in books like this, because they definitely do add to the atmosphere. They sort of break up the pace a little bit. They make it a little bit more, make it feel a little bit more real, in a way that when you see like a piece of evidence right in front of you on a page, that makes it feel a little bit more real and you get invested more into it. At least that works for me. So I really enjoyed this one. I gave it 4 stars, and yeah, it definitely didn't disappoint, and I look forward to reading book 3 when I'm finally in the mood for it, because I think I sort of got off of the mystery genre for a little bit because I was on the kick for that for a while, so now I'm off of it for now. But yes, I really enjoyed this book. I've got no criticism over the book whatsoever. I'm not always great with YA things, or with YA contemporary especially, but this is not that, and I really enjoy the main character. There's a little bit more of teenage drama in this one, maybe a little bit more in the relationship as well, but it's not like, it's not too much into that. And it's definitely one of the ones that I definitely can take easily and have absolutely zero problem with it. So I really enjoyed it and gave it 4 stars. Second book that I read was Dying Fool by Ellie Griffiths, which is a Dr. Ruth Galloway mystery series. So I think it's book number 5 in a series, and I've slowly been making my way through it. I've got 10 book box set that I got a while ago, a couple of years ago now, and have slowly been going through it. But essentially in this series we follow our forensic archaeologist archaeologist Ruth Galloway, who's a professor at a university, and she lives in this little cottage by the beach with her cat. And we also follow a story of DCI Nelson, Harry Nelson, and their jobs intertwine quite a few times because of different reasons, and because like they would discover some bones that she would identify and they would somehow go into be related to the current murder or something along those lines. It's always quite interesting how the author puts these things together, and how she combines like archaeology with current present time, and how it all goes into the current mystery of, I don't know, there's obviously in every book there's different plots, but it'll be a murder or something else. I don't know how to describe it otherwise, but obviously I'm not going to tell you the plot of the 5th book, so it's only going to be brief thoughts about this specific book without any spoilers for the first one, so don't worry about that. I'm not going to give anything away. But yes, these books, I always find with these ones, the first half I always start to struggle with it. So like the first, I don't know, 100 pages I'm fine with. It's always interesting because it always, like the beginning of the new book, you get back to the characters and you start obviously seeing how they change sometimes, how events happen in their lives and stuff like that, which is interesting. But then after that, and up until about halfway through, or just a little bit halfway through, I always find myself getting quite bored, to the point that I don't want to pick it up anymore. But the last part of the book is always great, especially when a murder happens or when the main big reveal happens. That's when it gets really interesting, and that's what always saves the rating for it. Although this one I think I gave 3 stars, just because for a lot of it I was kind of bored, but I did still enjoy it, and I can't quite remember even what this book happened about, what it's about. I did read it a month or so ago, to be fair, so I'm filming this a little bit too late to have my fresh thoughts, which was the idea of this video to start with. But yes, so I gave this one 3 stars, and again I did enjoy it, and obviously I want to carry on with the series because what I do like about this series is the atmosphere. It does happen sometimes outside of that little town that she's in, because she's quite isolated. She lives in a house and there are 2 houses next to her, but they're quite, a lot of the time there are nobody there. So she literally lives with a cat on a marsh, and it's just, the atmosphere is always great. I love that isolated atmosphere. Makes it even slightly gothic, and it does give a lot of opportunities for the plots, different plot twists to happen. Also archaeology would be definitely something I'm interested in. Not that I know a lot about it, but I'm definitely interested in it, and I feel like it's amazing that people can find some bones and be able to tell which period they're from, what the person was doing and all of that. I think that's just fascinating. I like history and I need to know more about history and maybe archaeology as well, so that's interesting. And I also do enjoy mysteries and like police work. That interests me quite a lot, so it combines a lot of my interests and makes a nice read as well. Like I said, I did notice in this book though, I realised in book 5, finally realised, I'm not a fan of the 2 main characters, if I'm honest with you. So Ruth Galloway, not the biggest fan of her. Her thoughts sometimes, don't know, not a fan. And also Harry Nelson, I just, not a massive fan of him either. I don't want to say too much, but it's just his attitude towards some things, I don't know, just not a fan. So that's why sometimes also I think I lower the rating, because it's not always nice to follow the characters you don't actually like them. I find it a little bit tricky sometimes, but the plot and the atmosphere of these books I do enjoy. So I'm definitely going to carry on with the series whenever I feel like reading something like this. So there we go. And the last book I'm going to be talking about in this video is The Unadoptables by Hannah Took and illustrated by Aisha L. Rubio. I do enjoy this cover quite a bit, and I feel like this is quite a controversial book. From what I've read from the reviews after I finished this book, it is definitely rather controversial, I would say. So it is like a slightly historical middle grade book. We follow these 5 children who were adopted in different circumstances, but all of them seem to be a little bit mysterious. They were found in different places, and they always seem to be, so people don't adopt them for different reasons, and they always stick together. But then one day there's this gentleman who comes into the orphanage and he wants to adopt them, but there is something sinister about him and they don't want to be adopted by him. And so it kind of starts the set of different adventures, different things going around. So I don't know how to comment on this book because, well, the Unadoptables, what I've read from the reviews as well, the Unadoptables is a really harmful word for, like, it's meant for children, and let's say a child from an orphanage reads this book and the word the Unadoptables might just hurt them, which I do understand and kind of agree with. At the same time, I feel like I can't comment on it too much because I feel like I need to know more. I feel like I need to know more about the background and basically do a little bit more research to actually properly comment on that, which I'm not going to do because of different reasons. So I don't know how to feel about this book because I also did work for some time with children from orphanages. I'm familiar with how they sometimes feel. I definitely can feel for the children who would read this and think that it's horrible, the word is horrible and all of that. I do understand that, but I also feel like this book is not giving, it's kind of about hope as well. So about family, but sometimes family comes in ways that you don't expect it to come, and that's why I feel like this book is also hopeful in some ways. Like, there are things that I think sometimes mentioned in this book that, yes, they could be quite harmful, and children, if a child from an orphanage is reading it, I don't know how they would feel about it, but I would see how they could be frustrated or sad reading this book, and it could be quite harmful in that situation. But I also see the other side of this book in which it is hopeful, and like I said, it talks about family and how sometimes family comes unexpectedly in ways that you don't expect. So it depends on what kind of message you take out of this book, but I do see why it's controversial, and I don't know how to comment on that, so please bear with me. I feel like I'm not qualified enough to talk about this properly, but I'm going to be talking about it from my point of view. I did almost DNF it at one point because it just felt like, I don't know, I wasn't enjoying the atmosphere, and I started to feel a little bit bleak halfway through this book, feeling like, I don't know, I did feel like if it's meant for children, it was kind of, it was putting me down as well to feel for these kids that were unadoptable, the Unadoptables. Yes, but I decided to carry on with it because I did enjoy the atmosphere. It was slightly creepy in places, which I always enjoy in books. I've read some good reviews about this book as well, so I just decided to carry on with it, and I gave this one in the end 3 stars. But like I said, I'm still a little bit conflicted about it, so if you want to read it, just please be aware of everything I've said. So yeah, don't know what I feel about this book, but it's a bit of a mixed bag of everything. So yeah, these are all of the 3 books that I was going to talk about today. Please let me know if you've read any of them, and also please let me know in the comments which book you read recently that you really enjoyed. I always like to hear that. But yes, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching. Bye!